Yeah, I can't use this computer right now. There's something on that keyboard that is literally burning through my fingers, and it's not the keyboard itself because I've been using this computer for 2 weeks now. Used it just 24 hours ago at FedEx office, and there was nothing wrong with the keyboard or anything on or around that keyboard the last time I used this computer. Yeah, I can't use this computer. There's some kind of like napalm-ish substance that's been smeared on the keyboard between the time that I came back to this building last night at approximately 11:30 p.m. after being out all day and evening and not having had any issues at any point. But now, over the last 20 hours now, 18 hours, it is now 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, July 22nd or 23rd. Are we the 22nd? Let's see. I don't know, one of those 2 days. I think we're the 22nd. Somebody's gotten in here. And not only did they mess with the keyboard on this computer so that when I do touch the keyboard, it suddenly causes instant burning on the fingertips, and then the burning starts going up your fingers, and it starts causing tingling and burning up the fingers into the hand. That is obviously a neurotoxic chemical that has been somehow smeared or sprayed or somehow put on this keyboard over the last 20 hours since I brought it home. But there's also been the same type of contamination of brand new cosmetics items that I also got yesterday afternoon and were perfectly fine when I tested them out on myself in the store, and then again at FedEx office, and then later in the evening. Now those items cause burning and blistering of the skin upon contact, even though I hid them between folders and items in my tote bag. So whoever is contaminating not just this computer keyboard, but the cosmetics items that I've only had for just a little over 24 hours now, they know exactly what I do with items that are in my possession, and they know exactly where I happen to hide those items, even when that hiding location changes from one day to the next, or even a few hours to the next. This is the same person who's been doing this for 11 years. That Mr. Oleg Aleseyev, the property manager, who other people have told me is a member of Russian organized crime, Mr. Aleseyev has bragged about this person's abilities to use surveillance devices, to hack into other people's electronics, and to get into physical spaces. And his words about this person were, she is such a talented hacker. She can get into anything. She can hack into anything. She can take care of any problem. He used the word hack and get into in the same sentence, which means that this person has multiple abilities to infiltrate not just electronics, but physical spaces as well. This person is a psychopath, a sex offender, a severely disturbed stalker, and an obsessive harasser named Jasmine Irizarry. She herself has admitted in multiple written comments made on my social media pages over the last few years that she is getting paid to do what I keep saying and observing that she is doing. So when the same person who you suspect of doing certain things has admitted in writing to doing them, and not just admitted to it in writing, but bragged about it, claiming they're getting paid a lot of money and they're doing this and they're doing that. They're not using a saddle valve to contaminate the water, but the water is still getting contaminated with boogers, and that I should enjoy the boogers in my hair, et cetera, then you know this person is doing exactly what you keep saying they're doing. The funny thing is, she's made comments about stuff that I never mentioned, but that she had inside knowledge of because, again, she's the person who's been doing this. She is getting sponsored by Mr. Oleg Aleseyev, the property manager, who has been reported to me by 6 different individuals over the last few years as being a member of Russian organized crime. These same people who I keep claiming are BLM activists have admitted to being BLM activists and are connected to Mr. Aleseyev by the fact that he's a property manager who is evidently providing them with some kind of free rent in exchange for their services as BLM creep show hate stalking perverts who harass women who the property manager doesn't like. I suspect Mr. Aleseyev himself has issues with women, as do the BLM male activists who refuse to leave women alone. And as does Jasmine Irizarry, who I've been told by the police initially, when she first moved in here and wouldn't leave me alone, I went to the police and they said, oh, she has issues with other women. She targets other women. Yeah, well, you know what? We've got a whole group of nasty psycho trash rejects, starting with the property manager, who have issues with women. It's funny how many people have issues with women. I don't. I am one. Why would I have issues with women? I don't feel a need to compete with other women. I celebrate other women's successes. I am a big sister. I have a younger sister who actually is a lot like me, but like more. So I had to be very okay with that from the beginning. Although as a kid, you know, you try to basically eliminate the competition. You beat up your little sister, you know, tell on her to your parents and stuff like that. But that's all kid stuff. You know, as we grew older, I recognized, hey, my sister is really special and I should just, you know, celebrate that. Right. So I've never had issues with other women. I've always been a girl's girl. Had fun groups of friends, female friends that I've known for years and hung out with for years, and always had no problem doing girl outings and girl parties and bachelorette parties. And I've been a bridesmaid in at least 3 or 4 different friends' weddings. So, you know, when your friends select you as their bridesmaid and you are an attendant at their wedding, yes, it means that you are a valued friend to that person. So I don't have issues with women, but all these psycho creeps, the BLM hate stalking sex offenders in this building, Mr. Oleg Aleseyev, the property manager who's sponsoring these BLM sex offenders to target female tenants that he has an issue with, verifiably, just like the number of times Mr. Aleseyev has taken me to court over the last 5 years for reasons that ended up not being entirely valid and that either got dropped or were taken care of, not in a way that was favorable to Mr. Aleseyev. And then Jasmine Irizarry, an obsessive hate stalking female sex offender who targets other women. Yeah, then no wonder I keep having to make these videos. And no wonder there's something really nasty that has been somehow smeared or sprayed or placed on this keyboard that prevents me from being able to use it. Not only is there a burning, immediate burning and very painful tingling that happens in the hand that you use to touch this entire keyboard with, but it also causes sudden, instant, severe abdominal cramping. And it's not stomach cramping. It's like, it's under the rib cage, meaning it's affecting your diaphragm or your liver. That is some really nasty stuff right there. And I can't use this computer right now. I can't touch it. I've already wiped it down twice. And whatever is still on it is obviously, it's in there. It's a powder of some sort. I don't know. You can't call the police because they're useless. If you tell them something like this, they'll say, ma'am, we don't see anything on your keyboard. We don't have any evidence that a crime actually happened. And just because you say you're feeling something doesn't mean it's there. So they like to gaslight victims that are not bleeding profusely and haven't been shot in the head. Anything more subtle than that, and the Boston police cannot deal with it. Like, they literally shut you down because they're incompetent and they don't understand that crimes beyond shootings and stabbings actually do occur. And if you're a female, it doesn't mean that you're hysterical and looking for male attention. That is a very dangerous premise for the Boston police to use when dealing with female victims of crimes that don't involve physical assault. Although this is a type of physical assault, but it's not a shooting or a stabbing or a clubbing. I'm not getting hit in the head with a baseball bat. And apparently anything beyond that, the Boston police don't deal with. And then they tell you that you're, imagining things, or it's not really there, or they can't really look at it because there's nothing there. I am feeling right now intense numbness, tingling, and painful burning in this hand. And it happens upon contact with the keys on this computer. And it was not happening 24 hours ago. And you look at the surrounding circumstances, a criminal Russian slumlord that 6 people have reported are members of Russian organized crime. I've been told to watch out. They don't play nice. They hit below the belt. They have resources and they use criminals to do their dirty work, et cetera, et cetera. And then it becomes much more logical as to what keeps happening in this unit. You look at the legal track record of the Greenville Group against me in the housing court, and they have desperately tried every possible way that they can to get rid of me over the last 5 years, and none of their court cases have succeeded. A few are dropped for lack of validity. And then you have a picture of a desperately prejudiced criminal slumlord group who only rent to certain tenants and obviously favor BLM male sex offenders and don't want anyone else living in their building. And they're willing to stoop very low to get rid of anybody else who doesn't fit into their business model.